Understand people that are fleeing from war-torn countries that then want to turn this country into where they came from. So, for instance, people who are coming from like Afghanistan and things like this, and expecting British women to be covering up. Right?
I don't think anybody is forcing any British women to cover up.
I'm not saying anyone's forcing anyone.
Are you saying they want to establish Sharia? Is that what you're trying to imply?
There are pockets within the UK. We're already seeing the rise of like a few Sharia courts popping up here and there, and I do think that it would be wrong by British law to have Sharia courts.
So what do you think Sharia court does? Let's start with that. What do you think is the role of the Sharia court in this country? By the way, it's legal, you know that. They got the Jewish courts, they got the Sharia court, they got all sorts of different religions.
How's it?
Yeah, so I want to know if you actually, brother, just 1 second. What do you think is the role of the Sharia court in this country?
Would you like to tell me?
Because
I personally don't think they have a role in this country. That's why I think they shouldn't be
No,
here.
no.
That's my point.
The fact that they are legal implies that the government has already vetted this and they have allowed it within the democracy that we have in this country. Okay, so in the Sharia code, what mostly happens is like to settle disputes between a husband and wife, for example. Yes, so if there is a dispute with regards to, say, their marriage, or maybe the conditions for divorce is there or not, this kind of things. I don't think the Sharia code here is to convert everyone to Muslims and then make them wear hijab and
I don't think that.
because many people, the term Sharia is become like a loaded word in this country or many other Western countries as well. Most of the people, when we ask them, what is the meaning of Sharia? Okay, because the Sharia, the part that you normally hear about is like a fraction of the Sharia. Most of the Sharia deals with day-to-day life. How does a son, what are the duties of the children to the parents, for example? What are the parents' duties to the children? How should you deal with your neighbor, okay, who might be a non-Muslim? This kind of things. So from a day-to-day...
How is that law?
Brother, just 1 second, I'm having a discussion.
No, I'm having a discussion. How is that law?
So if a Sharia, I asked you what is Sharia, because most people, brother, stop it.
How is that
You're
law?
getting this antagonistic. I want to have a civil discussion.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Can I ask?
Sure.
So, for instance, in those examples, like how to deal with, use the example of how to deal with your neighbour if they're a non-Muslim.
Yeah.
Why is that something that needs to be determined by a court? Because in this country...
No, I said Sharia. Remember I said Sharia, this is what Sharia deals with.
Yes, so...
The code was different. The code was, I told you, the code, one of the things is like settling divorce issues or husband and wife issues.
Yes, but if
or, not neighbors issues. That neighbors issue is
if it's just
different.
sorted by the idea of Sharia and not an actual Sharia court, then it has no legal standing.
No, I'm saying Sharia code doesn't deal with the rights of the neighbors, for example.
Right.
That is dealt with the Sharia itself. So, for example, if you're a non-Muslim and you're my neighbor, then it is, for me, forbidden to go to bed with a full stomach when you are hungry. So, according to Islam, according to the Sharia, you're not even a Muslim if you do that. You see, this is what I meant by the rights of the neighbors, the rights of the parents, the right of the children. But when there is a dispute, for example, between a husband and wife, between a parent and a child, maybe for adoption, these kind of things, then the Sharia code deals with it. Are you with me? Good.
And while that value is nice, and it might be very nice on the surface level, if you look at countries that actually have implemented Sharia law fully...
Which one? Name one.
Okay, so if you go over...
There is none, actually.
Okay,
For your information, there is not a single Muslim country out there which implements the Sharia fully.
Okay, right, so, forget Sharia then.
Okay.
Extremist Islam.
Now we change the topic. You see, you went straight from Sharia to extremist Islam. What is the connection?
What do you mean, what is the connection?
I want to know the connection because you went from Sharia, discussion of Sharia, straight to extremist Muslims. Can I go from the Bible straight to extremist Christians? Or from the Torah, go to extremist Jews? Can I do that? No, I can't.
If you'd like to.
No, but I want to know the connection. What is the connection?
Because it's in my view that if a woman has to be forced to wear something, I view that as extremist.
Who forces them? The Sharia does not. According to I know those men are not following the Islamic teachings.
Right, but they claim that they do. You might not agree that they are, but
hold on. No. Just because they claim doesn't make it Islamic. For example, during the Crusades.
That's the debate to have with them. So it's just like those cultural Christians, right? So there are people who say that they're Christian, never touch the Bible in their life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So
a lot of people, what they do is they use religion as a means to achieve their goals. For example, during the Crusades, they killed many Christians during the Crusades and many Jews. What do they use the reason to for them to justify that? They use the Bible. Yes? So similarly, there are people, I'm not denying this, by the way, there are extremist Muslims who unfortunately use the Quran, the Sunnah and the Sharia to achieve their own agendas, which is not actually, in fact, I'll give you one chapter from the Quran which teaches about non-violence. Okay, chapter 5, verse number 32. And this is a command in the Quran. It says that if you kill one person unjustly, it is as if you kill the whole of mankind. And if you save one person, it is as if you have saved the whole of mankind. Even during war, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he used to instruct his soldiers not to harm the women and children, not to harm even the saints and the rabbis in their churches and synagogues, not to harm all these people. This is what the Sharia teaching was. Okay, and this is the time from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, from that time.
My original point was that there are conflating cultures and inviting mass waves of people who do not agree with westernized culture, Christian culture, is going to cause problems. That's how this whole conversation started.
Okay.
Right? So when we're seeing riots on the street, I mean, it was like when the whole Israel-Palestine thing kicked off. There were riots on the street, got very heated, and
they're still going on, by the way. You know, yesterday there were 400,000 people who marched in the streets of London, and you know, majority of them were actually non-Muslims. Why do you think the people of this country are feeling the need to call out against the genocide that's happening in Palestine today, where more than 60,000 people have died?
Just as many people calling out extremist Islam in this country.
They should call out extremists, whether they're Christian or Muslim. Okay, this is the teaching.
That these people are affiliated.
Do you need him to whisper in your ear? No, it's okay.
No, I don't need
But you got two people here. I'm talking to you. I prefer a one-to-one.
I don't actually know either of these gentlemen.
Do you need the help?
He's a Muslim, by the way.
No, I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for it.
So let's have a civil discussion one-to-one rather than other people interrupting.
You seem very angry.
No, not yet you. I'm saying let's have a civil discussion one-to-one. That's all I'm saying. I'm not angry. See, he's whispering unnecessarily.
But it's just I started having a conversation with like two people, by the way. This is crazy. Sorry. I started having a conversation with two people about the fact that if you invite loads of people from a massively non-westernized culture into this country, there are going to be problems. That was my point. That was it. That was it.
That's fine, that's fine. So you mentioned something.
Do you disagree with that point?
You mentioned something earlier, Christian culture. What is that? Let's define it. I'm asking her, not you.
From its heritage.
Look, if he's going to talk, okay, this is going to interrupt because then another person will come. I would rather listen to your answer than this guy whispering in your ears.
Indication of ownership of a country is heritage.
Do you really need his help?
No, I'm sorry, I just can't listen to two
I know,
people
I
at
totally
once.
agree.
I can't listen to
Do you need his help? Let's start with that.
Oh my goodness.
Do you need his help?
Well, no, I want to have a discussion with
No,
you.
I don't want to have a discussion with you because you're a troll.
Okay, I'm not a troll.
You are a troll.
I'm just trying to engage in a discussion.
I don't want to engage with you at all at any level.
You clearly said that there were...
So I want to know from you, what is a Christian culture?
Yes.
Yeah, and now there's more.
What is a Christian
And now I
culture?
want to join in.
What is Christian culture?
Yeah, because you mentioned that term.
Christian culture is Jesus, God, the church, right? And then Western culture is freedom, liberation, and I'm sorry,
Okay.
but it's just
No, Christian culture is different to the Western culture, or is it the same?
similar. But
Similar. Where did Christianity originate from? East or the West?
Yeah, but the
You know where I'm going with this, right?
The current European culture has...
Where did it start from? The culture of Jesus. Is it from the East or the West? East, obviously. So it is an Eastern culture which has been brought here, then which has been Westernized. Now what happened today?
That's not true, by the way.
No, that's why I asked you, what is the Christian
even
culture?
If it was, that's
It is
irrelevant. Even if it was, that's irrelevant. Because if that's what we're standing, then we could be saying that we could still have the same laws that we did 200, 300 years ago.
Yeah, even then it was
We
still...
don't still hang people.
No, I'm not talking
By
about
the way,
hanging.
it doesn't
I'm not talking
matter.
about hanging people. I'm talking
By
about
the
the
way,
culture
that's
itself.
that's not from
The
me.
culture about Christianity itself originated in the East.
Okay, I'm really struggling to.
Yeah.
That's why I said one-to-one. I don't want him.
Because Hashim,
That's why.
you've just
I don't
lied.
want to talk to you.
You've
Which
just
part of that
lied.
you don't
You've
understand?
just lied.
Okay, so
Hashim,
Christian
you've just
culture is
lied.
actually from the East.
Hashim,
The
you've just
Jewish
lied.
culture is also from the East.
Wow.
Okay, he takes over the discussions. That's the reason we don't want him to interrupt. Okay,
Hashim,
do you really want to carry on like this with this guy interrupting?
I don't know. I don't.
You want him to interrupt us?
No, I
Personally,
want to have a discussion.
You seem more friendly than yourself. I'm sorry. but
Oh, really? More friendly?
You seem very angry at me.
So let me ask you something.
Because he
If
doesn't
someone
like me.
interrupts, do you think that is rude or it is good?
It's not an interruption, it's an invitation. Hashim.
I reject your invitation.
Why? Because you're a bad debater.
You're a bad host.
No, because you think I'm a bad. You are a bad debater.
Anyway, what I was saying, the culture.
I didn't get into a debate with anyone. I was just having a lovely conversation.
Exactly, that's what they do. They get crowds of people.
A lovely conversation can still be.
People that they
We
don't,
can still.
you don't want to have a discussion. They don't want to have discussions with debaters because they
pointing is also rude, by the way.
You have been pointing to me for this entire discussion.
Yeah, but we didn't invite you.
You get people that don't want to debate, but you have to.
Do you want to have a discussion or
not? Can I just say, this is my first time at Speaker's Corner. It's a really great day.
Welcome. So anyway, look, we can have a one-to-one. No other Muslims are interrupting except for this guy who is uninvited. And he's when he talks, he takes over the discussion. That's the reason I don't like it.
I was just having a conversation about borders, right?
About what?
About borders.
Yeah. Are you against immigration? Is that what you're trying to say?
Not against all immigration.
So what kind of immigration are you against?
Free immigration, where people are just rocking up on boats and then they're getting phones, they're getting houses, they're getting benefits and all these things, and then we're having our own pensioners.
How do you think they will get?
We've had our own pensioners have the winter fuel payment taken away from them. We have our youth being indoctrinated. Education is falling. Our GDP is falling. Standard of living is crumbling. And we're just inviting people in and giving them a free ride.
So you're blaming? Are you blaming all this on the immigration?
No, I'm blaming the
Sister, do you want to have a discussion?
What about the government? What about the government? The government is the one who is giving them the benefits, who is vetting these people, and without vetting they can't get benefits.
Yes,
you know that.
Which is why it's a problem with the government, right?
Exactly, not the immigration.
Yes, but
Sorry, not the immigrants.
Yeah, but who's forcing over? Regardless of who put them there, there are a lot of people. So, for instance, I use the example: if someone comes from France, a very westernised country, is more likely to come here, assimilate, and just live their lives as any other British person would, right? You get someone from Afghanistan, assimilation is going to be less likely, and we're seeing it. Right?
So you're saying unless they assimilate, they're not welcome here. Is that what you're saying?
I think, yeah, can you just
What does assimilation mean in your worldview? What does it mean? What does that mean?
Our laws here.
Okay, so now it became Western culture from Christian culture. Have you moved the goalpost? You have. Because earlier it was Christian culture. Now you're saying Western culture.
Western Judeo-Christian country.
They're not the same. They're not the same. The Christian culture.
It doesn't matter if they're the same.
No, hold on. This country is becoming less Christian.
Why is it becoming less Christian?
Allow me to finish.
Becoming less Christian? Because we have open borders.
You're getting aggressive for no reason. Let's calm down. The reason it's becoming less Christian is because most people are tired of what they preach at the churches. Okay?
The churches aren't woke. I'll agree with you there.
Yeah, so
I'll agree with you there. We have too many people in church saying that men can get married in the eyes of God. I have nothing against gay people. I have nothing against gay people being together. I have nothing against transgenderism. But the church's job is to preach the Bible. Deviation from the Bible is not acceptable.
No,
so
a lot of
a
lot of Western culture is at clash with the Christian culture. Do you agree? A lot of the Western culture is actually at loggerheads with the actual Christian culture. For example, LGBTQ. Does Christian culture allow it?
By the way,
I'm not talking to you.
The latest rankings for the trans rights.
This is what I'm saying. There are a lot of things which actually collide, and this is where many of the young people are disillusioned because they don't know. Young people like you don't know. Are you for or against LGBTQ? Against, but that is against the Western culture.
Yes, but it's not. Yeah, people can go and do what they want. I'm all for people doing what they want as long as they're not hurting anyone.
Thank you very much.
When it comes to indoctrinating people in schools, the thing is LGBT, right? How many gay people are coming out now and saying, I'm not part of the LGBT, because it's become what it wasn't before, right? It's become an ideology, it's become an indoctrination, and now we're having trans kids
Exactly.
and all these things, and they're mutilating themselves, they're taking hormones, that's where it brought to
You answered my question for me. You know why? Because earlier you mentioned assimilation, and you said they can do what they like as long as they're not forcing anyone. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you why. Wait a second.
English heritage, they have an inherent
Hold on. Not every LGBTQ is born in this country.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you're against
You
LGBT.
conflated
If you let me finish one sentence without interrupting, then we'll get somewhere. Okay, so the reason I mentioned LGBTQ is because the Western culture allows it. Okay, the Christian culture does not allow it. And the Christian culture, you are for the Christian culture. That's the reason you're saying you're against the LGBTQ. But
no. I'm against the LGBTQ because it's become an indoctrination ideology. LGBT used to be lesbians, gays, and bisexuals, right? How, like I just said, how many gay people are coming out and saying, I do not want to be included in the LGBTQIA++, whatever the hell it is, right?
No, just because they leave the ideology, there are many who come in as well. So there are many people who are Christians and they want to be LGBTQ. They want to assimilate in the Western culture. So unlike you, they actually are not against the Western culture. They are not. Even though they might be Christian, they still don't mind being with that ideology of LGBTQ, even though it goes against the Christian culture.
But in the Western culture, these people have the right to go and do that as long as they're not hurting anyone,
Yes.
not harming children, and indoctrination is harming children.
Good. So where is the problem when immigrants come here and they say we want to speak our language or dress the way they want without harming anyone? Do you have a problem with that? No. At that time, you say you want them to assimilate.
I have no problem with someone who wants to come to this country, assimilate and contribute, right? But someone who...
What does assimilate mean?
Just be accepting of Western culture.
Okay,
that is it.
but you're not accepting of Western culture. You're against LGBTQ.
By the way,
yes, you are.
I've said about 3 times now, anyone can do whatever the hell they like, right? As long as they're not hurting anyone. That is Western. They have the freedom to do that.
So
right?
then your
But
meaning of
indoctrinating
assimilation
children-
is a bit off. I really want to know what you mean by assimilation. When you say
I can't explain it anymore to you.
when you say they can do whatever they want, that's exactly what the immigrants are saying. They can do whatever they want as long as they're not hurting anyone. So that's it.
she just said
Okay?
that
I don't want to talk to you. I'll talk to her. Okay?
I
So this is what I'm saying.
Okay, I don't want to talk to you.
That's fine. If you don't want to talk, that's fine. Because this is exactly what he wants, to stop the discussion.
No, quite frankly, I've tried to explain myself time and time again.
I was trying to show you the clash between the Christian culture and the Western culture. I was trying to show you that.
But yes,
What he
and
said.
there is a clash because otherwise this country would be ultra traditionalist, right?
Yes.
And it's not. There is.
So you enjoy the variety, right?
But that's the thing. It's a choice.
The immigrants bring the variety. Do you realize that?
No.
Yes, they do. Why do they not? Look at,
What kind of variety do you mean?
London celebrates multiculturalism.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Not particularly.
Exactly. So you're against Western culture once again. You keep proving that to me, time and time again.
No, because Western culture, right? When I'm talking about Western culture, I'm referring to that as one culture.
It's not one culture.
No, I'm referring to right. Okay.
Western culture is not one culture.
Not understanding what I mean.
Most people in this country, they enjoy the variety of multiculturalism, unlike you.
Right.
Right? So you're amongst the minority, not the majority.
Okay.
And that, if that is news for you, then you need to understand that what you have been preaching and advocating all this time about assimilation,
Preaching. I was having a one-to-one conversation.
assimilation,
with a friend.
all that thing you're talking about,
Yeah.
it goes against the Western culture as well.
So do you think that someone who's coming into this country, let's say someone's coming from Syria or Afghanistan, do you think that they should assimilate at all?
Well, like I said, if your meaning of assimilation is to become Western, that means
recognizing law,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
Right.
If they don't recognize the law, then they should be punished according to the law. I'm all for that.
Okay.
And that has got nothing to do with assimilation.
No.
That's to do with
Right,
obeying the law. So
speaking English.
if they were in Afghanistan, they will have to obey the law there. If they were in England, they'll have to obey the law over here.
Yeah.
So just because a Westerner goes to Dubai, do you think they assimilate? No, they don't. They go about doing the daily chore or their job or whatever it is. They speak English still. Nobody's forcing them to speak Arabic over there. There are lots of Westerners who would go there for the tax-free haven that it is, and they get a lot of money. They earn a lot of money. They are more than happy to take the children there because a lot of safety is there. Imagine this: there's safety on the roads, tax-free, and they get paid a lot. Plus, some of the companies they pay for the education, free healthcare. Yes, all of this. Why do you think they are not there saying? The local people are saying, let these people assimilate, otherwise get rid of them. No, because they are accommodating. As long as they obey the law, they have no issues. Why can't you do the same?
They're accommodating. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But with the high rate of migration, what we're seeing is people walking around London with machetes out. And I'm sorry, but
Tell that to the government.
that's not assimilation.
No, machetes is not something anyone agrees with. In fact, I can guarantee you this. Those children who are there with, I call them children because recently I think a 15-year-old killed some 14-year-old or something, yes? These are children. They shouldn't be having those machetes. They shouldn't be having those, hunting knives.
Yeah.
You know where they get them from? Online, eBay. It's openly.
that's what they
It's
get.
so easy to get it.
Yeah.
So you see, this is the
But
this is
again,
the
if
job
you
of the government
yes,
to
but
stop
if
them.
you remember when you said a similar point earlier,
Yeah.
I said that my issue isn't just with migrants that are coming over. It's
Thank
with the
you.
government that are putting them there. And I said that, and you just blew right past
No, I
it.
didn't. I didn't.
You did.
I said
you did.
you
Otherwise,
kept.
you wouldn't have said what you
No,
just said.
I did say that this is a problem of the government. If you watch the videos, it's been recorded. I did say earlier as well that the blame also has to go on the government who allows all these things. For
Yeah, and
example,
you'll see me say
you know,
that as well,
I'll tell
so
you.
we agree.
I'll tell you what. Look, in Islam, there are certain things which are forbidden, which are haram, prohibited. Okay, gambling, alcohol, adultery, fornication. Which one are you for or against? None of them, right? You know that is Islamic culture and the Christian.
on,
And
come on.
I'm not a drinker, Will. Come on, you're a drinker. I'm not.
oh, he's a drinker. Okay, that's good. You're not a drinker. But you see, do you know why all of these are allowed here? Why it is? Yes. And do you know the harms because of that?
Yeah. No,
Much more than any immigration has done to this day.
I will agree with you that
Yeah.
there are bad points to Western culture because otherwise, we wouldn't be.
By the way, these are not just bad points. These are the points which impact every part of the society. And I'm talking about not just the individual who gambles or drinks or fornicates or commits adultery, but him, his family, his maybe his neighbors, his entire society. It impacts the NHS. Yes, because every Saturday night, you probably might have seen this in Leicester Square or other places where there's nightlife, clubs and stuff like that. There are people very educated, but on that night, on Saturday night, they're puking on the roads. Many of them actually commit a lot of things which are actually a crime. Yes, crime against women because they might spike that drink or something. You see, a lot of things happen every Saturday night and every Friday night because of these things. Does the government do anything about it? No. They let billions of dollars from the NHS just go to waste because of this culture which you're talking about. This culture is something which allows them to do these crimes.
And that's wrong. At no point have I ever stood here and advocated that the government is doing a fabulous job.
Yeah, but I didn't say you. I didn't say you did that. So, what I'm saying is that if the government was sensible, then they would have actually put restrictions to this. Yes.
Yes.
But the reason they don't, you know why?
We need to have strong borders.
Do you know why they don't do it? Because they get money from it. It's a huge source of revenue. The alcohol is like a $1 billion industry. Cigarettes, $1 billion industry. But they know all of this harms the body. Yes, they do know. Same thing with the adulteries. It destroys families, destroys the individual. Gambling, it destroys again the individual, the family, his friends, all of these things. You heard of Peter Shilton? Peter Shilton used to be a goalkeeper for England, very famous. He used to take part in the World Cup and so on. Yes, he became a huge gambler. Yes, this guy was very respectful. He lost all of that. He lost his respect, his dignity, his family, his friends, all of them one by one because of the addiction to gambling. You know what? Islam nips all of this in the bud, and it says it's haram. A lot of
It takes away our fundamental rights as Englishmen.
But hold on. He mentioned rights. Do you agree with him?
Yes.
You agree with him? So everyone should have the right to drink, to fornicate, to commit adultery, to gamble.
It's not something that should be justified in the court of law. These are things that happen within a personal realm.
No, the question is, should the government put restrictions on this? No. So then, this is not Christian.
No, because we're not under Christian
Sin
law.
cast the first stone.
We're not under Christian
Why did Jesus
law.
not cast the first stone?
Did he not?
Don't try. No, he
Did
did
he
not.
not cast the money lenders out of the church?
No, he did not cast the first
Did he
stone.
not cast the money lenders out?
So anyway, you see, this is what I was talking about earlier, that the clash of cultures will always remain. Whether you bring immigrants or you don't bring immigrants, that is going to be there.
Yeah.
So trying to blame the unemployment, all the inflation, all of this on immigrants is wrong. There are certain things. There are many factors which take place which are in play here, not just the immigrants.
Yeah.
So you don't make them the scapegoats, please.
Which again, I said earlier, which will be on camera since you like to point out, I did say I don't just place the blame on the immigrants, I'm putting the blame
on the government
that is also putting
Thank you.
there.
So now we're in agreement.
However, it is also down to the individual to know that everyone has an innate sense of right and wrong. Right?
It's subjective. Do you disagree with that? Good and bad is always subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah? I'll give you an example. What are your thoughts on abortion? For or against? Against. What are your thoughts on abortion?
Only before the development of consciousness. After consciousness, it will become murder.
I think in the instances of rape, I think it's a bit circumstantial, but it's my belief that the cutoff should be 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, you know, in this country, you got millions of abortions.
Oh yeah, no, and I don't
millions.
agree with it. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
and it's
I'm talking about over the years. Yeah,
yeah, no. And there are women that are aborting their babies when they're like 30 weeks, and it's absolutely.
No, I'm not even talking about that. Most of the abortions that take place, it's not because of rape. It's not because of some problem with the health or something. In fact, in Islam, those are the factors which actually would allow abortion. And this is again a disagreement amongst the scholars. But many scholars do allow that. But most of the abortions that take place in this country is because unplanned pregnancy.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yes,
yeah.
Thousands of babies die because of that.
Yeah.
You know, you said until they develop consciousness. Yes. This is something that I disagree with, because you know, when you were in your mom's womb, you know what she called you? When you had no consciousness and she knew she was pregnant, she said, "My baby." Why did she say that? Because she valued life. She valued you. And our mothers valued us. And this is what I'm saying, that potential life.
If someone's brain dead, right? So, for example, if I'm brain dead, like my entire consciousness is gone, my body happens to still be breathing and alive, but I can't feel, can't experience anything.
Yeah. Your family would still like to keep you alive.
That's how I started this lovely conversation. Then he ran away.
Imagine if that.
You know what he just said? I can bet you that his family loves him, that even if he's brain dead, they would like to keep him on the machine. They would like to keep him alive until they see no more cause to him ever waking up.
That I would not wish to be that burden. It'd be perfectly
God
fine to
brings
switch
life,
off the
God
machine.
takes life away. If God decides to take me one day,
Yeah.
I do not want to
But-
be hooked up to the machine.
But abortion is something which is done voluntarily, okay? And all the rights is only given to the mother. What about the right of the baby? What about the right of the father?
I agree with you on this. I don't know why you're trying to debate me on abortion, but I'm pro-life.
No,
I don't,
I'm not debating. I'm just making a point. Don't need to get
Seems very
defensive.
debate-driven.
No, that's your point of view. I'm saying that this is my perspective, that nobody asks the baby for his rights or the father for his rights, because all of them are involved in making that baby, or sorry, in the life of that baby. So what I'm saying is that this is something that we have to take into consideration. There are many things which the morals we get are from religion. Yes, you seem like a good Christian individual who take your morals from your Bible, right? Yeah, and there are many people like that, and they actually say, yes, we don't want all these problems. But many people, unfortunately, blame it only on the immigrants. I'm not saying you're like that. Yes, but you should stop smoking as well.
I know.
Okay, so this is something that we have to understand, that yes, you can't make them as scapegoats. And I'm not saying you're doing that, but I'm saying that you have to keep things in balance, in perspective. That's all I'm saying. But many people, unfortunately, they see Sharia, oh, they have to be like terrorists, they're killing. This is completely wrong. Islam never teaches killing any innocent man or an innocent person.
Slay the infidels wherever you find them, cut off every single one of their fingertips.
Bring it up. Bring it up. Go on. I challenge you, because
Chapter 9,
what he
verse
quoted,
13.
what he quoted from chapter 9, he quoted verse 5. He hasn't read verse 6. Because that verse 5 is talking about people who have broken a treaty. A treaty was established between the Muslims and the non-Muslims in Medina. The treaty said, can I finish? Can I finish, please? Are you a Christian, by the way?
No.
Thank God. Because you'll be in trouble if you were. Okay. So in chapter 9, it's talking about a treaty which the condition of which was, if it was broken, then there will be consequences. Guess what the consequences was? Yeah, it'll be death. The consequences of that will be death. Now, it says very clearly, no, not the women and children. Islam never, ever says to kill women and children. Okay?
States that not to kill kids, women, elderly,
Yes.
and even trees.
Okay, what about the men
Trees
who
and
didn't
animals.
break the treaty? You kill them.
No, they were not killed. And this is what I'm saying. In fact, even the ones who broke the treaty, if you read verse 6, it says, if they come and ask for peace, establish peace with them. Do not go over the means. That means do not kill them unnecessarily. So you have been brainwashed by obviously the media, because you work for the media, isn't it? You work in the media. And then you actually spill out all this propaganda because you just regurgitate it without checking any facts. It is your duty as a press person to go and verify the facts and not go and run on the fake news you have been produced. I am, alhamdulillah, every Sunday.
Okay, then what I'll do is
Yes.
I'll come back with a copy of the Quran in English.
I've got a copy here. Do you want one?
Yes.
Okay, let's open chapter 9 verse 5. Bring him a Quran. You got a Quran?
I'll bring one.
A copy of the Quran.
I'll bring one.
All right, Jazakallah.
Wait, do you want mine?
Yeah, we can read that. And if you're